out there tonight.
Well, you stumped me now.
Check out our website, mannimalresearch.com. Thanks to everybody. Hello. How's it going out there tonight, everyone? Hope everyone is doing well. Wherever you may be, you watching this live tonight. And if you will be catching us later, we sure do appreciate it. Are you eating?
Yep. I had me a snack. I got in I got off about 45 minutes ago.
Couldn't find time to eat in those 35, 40 minutes?
No. I had nowhere to stop.
Okay.
Can't eat no damn french fry food. It's bad for you.
Hope everyone is doing well out there tonight. Glad to see everybody. We got Jean's Pretty Pups in here. How you doing? Sharon Guy, how you doing, ma'am? Miss Sandra Piper, one of our favorites. Thank you, ma'am, for stopping by. Flat Rock Booger. Miss Kelsey Smith, a member of Mannimal. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, ma'am.
Yep.
We got a dude from Texas. How's it going in Texas? What's up, everybody?
That's been that. Texas, the guy. I'm trying something new tonight. I got my computer set up where I got the YouTube on my right side. I got it split, and I got our show right here, so I can actually see the comments on here, and I don't have to use my phone now. Kind of get a little bit more. That way, I'm looking straight at the camera a little better now.
That's cool. No, we lost Walls. Anyway, maybe we'll get him back. All right. I want to ask everybody, if you have not done so already, hit that subscribe button. Sure would appreciate it. We are up over 1,200 subscribers now. Still growing. Appreciate that, guys. We're actually getting closer to 1,300. Guys, check out our, first off, we'll talk about our website. Our website is actually down right now, guys. We're doing some repairs to it, trying to update it a little bit. I wasn't happy with how it looked. And, you know, we've got merchandise we want to start selling, and it just wasn't the right platform. I'm looking into hiring somebody to put together a website for us. So if there's anybody out there, any web developers, get in touch with me, please. I've talked to people, and prices are just ridiculous. Prices are just ridiculous on getting a custom website. So if anybody out there, any of our viewers, our web developers, you design websites, get in touch with me, please. And because I would like to talk to you about getting up a new site. But we are still on Facebook. Guys, run over to Mannimal Research on Facebook. Hold on just a second, guys. Yeah, check us out on Facebook. Actually, our guest tonight has a couple of groups on Facebook. He's going to hang out with us tonight and talk to us about some of the stuff that he's had going on in his life, and talk about his groups. And yeah, really cool guy. I've known him for a little bit. We've had this scheduled for a little bit, and finally made it happen tonight. So yeah, we're just speaking about our Facebook groups. He has a couple of them. He'll be on in a minute to show you or to talk to you about those. Again, guys, if you have any questions for us or for our guest Tom, ask that you put those all in caps. Put those in capital letters so that we can get to them in time. Our buddy Walls does a good job of getting to them and getting those to us, getting them over to me so that I can get them displayed. And yeah, do that for us, guys. But put your questions or anything that you want to comment on, that you want seen on the air, that you want us to talk about. Yeah, put those in caps, guys. We appreciate it. Also, Mannimal Encounters at yahoo.com. You can send us some of your encounters, things that's happened to you personally. Doesn't have to be Bigfoot, be Bigfoot, dogman, paranormal, UFO. Just if it's happened to you strange and it's happened to you and you don't want to come on a show like this and talk about it. You don't want your personal info out there, basically. You can shoot us an email, and we'll be happy to share. I've done a few of those and just to test it out and got some pretty good response on it. There were some things that people asked us to do, so we're going to work on that as well. All right, tonight, guys, we have Mr. Tom, and I should have asked him how to pronounce his last name. I believe it's Cardos. That's what I'm going to go with, and he's giving me a thumbs up, so it's Tom Cardos. Tom and his buddy are the creators of Paranormal Junkie, Cryptid Paranormal Junkies on Facebook. I'm a member over there, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. But yeah, Tom's a real cool guy. He contacted me. I'm not sure if I contacted him or he contacted me pretty early on, several months ago, and we talked about those guys coming on with us, and then us going on with them. Kind of do a little collaboration thing. So tonight is the first half of that. So let's see if I think we got Walls back here. There he is.
I don't know why I keep doing. I didn't touch anything.
Just catching everybody up on who we got on tonight. Let's talk a little bit about. You said that our buddy Greg was over in the battlefield. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's going on?
He was out there, and he sent me this picture. Went and checked out went and double checked the place where we had our, I guess you'd say the incident in a way. Checking it out, checking to see if the archers were still there that we found that night. They were still there, and I asked him to go check out a place where I was at that night and heard those voices. I asked him, I said, if you can, walk up to the monument, because there's a big monument stack. It's a stack of cannonballs, and I think that's supposed to be for like a general or a whole. I think it's supposed to be for a general or how many people died there. I can't remember what that means. But he went up there and didn't see nothing at first, but then he turned around and saw a tree that was growing straight up, or not straight up and down, but straight at an angle. And then at the end of it, it's completely split. I mean, split in two. Yeah, I've seen it on the video because we was doing phone chat. And one side of it is down towards the ground, and it is actually being held down by another tree that something's put on top of on top of there to hold it down. I mean, this is completely split in two. And I was like, dude, take some pictures of that, because that's pretty fascinating. And then he mentioned that the place where I heard the voice when I was there by myself, he turned to that right across the road from there, the field, is that spot. And I was like, huh. I said, that's kind of cool. I said, but yeah, he got a picture. I mean, I don't see how Mother Nature could have done that and split it and then put something on one side. I mean, it's complete. There's no burn marks. Like, I asked him, I said, does it look like burn, like lightning might have struck it? But this, as you picture a tree growing out of the ground, it's going like this. And then at the end, it just splits off. And I'm not talking about just splitting off like it has grown. I'm talking about it's been pulled, almost like you taking pants and just stripping it right down the middle. it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it. If is he still out there?
They're going to do this Walmart and stuff. I'm actually going out there tonight.
Okay, cool.
I'm actually going to do. So if anybody on the website or Facebook thing, I'm going to do a live on the Facebook, on our group Facebook. I'm going to do a live out there tonight. We're going to go back, check out that area, see what we hear. I'm going to go back out and see it for about an hour or so, and it'll be after the show. So it'll probably be about 10:30 or 11, maybe something around there. Just do it for a little bit and then come home.
Send some pictures, and whatever you get, we'll get loaded up on our Facebook group there, and definitely share them next week. You got Mercedes Jimenez is asking me if wife's had the baby. No, she has not. She is over 9 months pregnant. The ladies probably know more of this than us guys do. She is 37 weeks. Us guys, we hear 37 weeks. We don't know what that means. But most women out here, they're moms. They know exactly what that means. Typically there's 40 weeks in a pregnancy. Everybody says 9 months, but it's actually 10 months. So she is 37 weeks as of yesterday. Went to the doctor yesterday. She has not started dilating yet, so she's a little bummed about that. But baby weighs over 6 pounds, 6 pounds 4 ounces. She's developed. She's ready. She's considered full term now. So thanks for asking, buddy. I appreciate it. But no, she is not here yet. Definitely keep you guys updated on that.
I was getting worried because usually you're on top of sending me invites, and I was like,
a nap,
man. He's 4 hours not on thing, and I was like, I bet Jordan's had the baby. It's like, what in the heck? I said, oh my God.
Yeah. And then you called me while I was in the shower. Man,
I didn't know you was in the shower. Jordan actually, she's the one that messaged me back and said, no, I'm all right. Because I was like, she's having a baby.
Mr. Alfred Santiago, is this her first one? It is. Yes, sir, it is. Not mine, but it is her first one. Yes. Sharon says she's happy for us. Thank you, ma'am. All right, we are 13 minutes into this thing. We ain't even brought our guest on. So if you're ready, buddy, we will get Tom in here.
Yep. Let's do it.
Tom, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, guys?
Not a whole lot, man. Just hanging out here, ready to talk about some Bigfoot and some weird stuff.
Awesome.
So you gave me the thumbs up. I pronounced your last name right, I'm supposing.
You said it perfectly. Yep.
All right, Tom Cardos. Well, like I said in the intro, buddy, we've been talking about this for a while. I'm glad that we finally were able to make it happen, and now we're just going to set something up where we can come hang out with you guys.
Yeah, awesome. Looking forward to it. It's just crazy how we kept, every time we had a date, something came up, something else came up, and my co-host is still in Mexico with family matters and dealing with estate situations on who's gonna be the head of the estate from his father passing. So he's staying there a little extra longer. So I'm just me tonight without him.
Yeah, dude from Texas, right? Looks like Tom's putting in that work. Congratulations. It's like looking in the mirror, man.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm kidding. Trust me.
It's all good, brother.
All right. So, Tom, what got you into this topic? Whether it was Bigfoot or the paranormal or what started it for you? We all have this fascination. This we're all passionate about it. We all have our reasons for why we started. So, what was yours?
Well, it kind of happened when I was younger. I don't know if I was, 8 or 9, grade school, that book in the library, the Loch Ness Monster, the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, UFOs. Everybody was sharing the book. Everybody was taking it out and, lending it out for a week or two. And I saw that picture of, the Patterson-Gimlin picture and the Loch Ness Monster. And I was really fascinated. just kind of in awe of something like that could exist. And I don't know if it was the Leonard Nimoy special. What was it? In Search Of came out, and then you had like Unsolved Mysteries, and there'd always be like the Yeti or the the Bigfoot, the Mountain Man. They called the hairy man, and then UFOs and so on. I just kind of got interested into that kind of stuff at an early age, horror movies, all that. And I think I was around 11 or 12. My uncle used to take me to Pennsylvania to we're not Native American, but he's into the Native American culture. He kind of adapted his lifestyle into it. So he'd take me to all these powwows when I was a kid. And he took me to a sweat lodge once in Pennsylvania. And after we got out of the sweat lodge, we were young, we were 11 or 12, we're sweating our asses off. And you get out of that tent, you're pretty much drenched in sweat. Your body's overheated. So there's a stream on the side of this property that we're at, and there was a bunch of boulders. And the owner of the property is like, don't worry, there's nothing's going to bother you in the woods. The protectors, the guardians of the forest will keep you safe. And I had no clue what he was talking about. And my uncle kind of told me those are the forest people. So I was like, okay, wow, cool. But never saw nothing there. But for some reason, while we're out in the woods at that young of an age, all by ourselves, jumping in the water, jumping off the rocks, we felt safe the whole time. Like we had no fear of anything. We had that safe feeling, that calm feeling. So I guess they were protecting us,
That's really cool. So did you got to hang out with some Native Americans, which I think is really awesome. Did they talk any more about? They called them the protectors of the. What'd you say they called them? The protectors of the woods.
Protectors of the forest, the keepers of the woods. That kind of. It was mainly like the guardians of the forest in that kind of manner. They really didn't go on too much elaborate because we were all kids, and they really didn't tell kids those kind of things. They kind of kept it to themselves. We were only in the sweat lodge for like an hour, and then we left and went swimming. But most of the stuff, those events were for the adults. The things that they were doing. I don't know exactly what they were doing. If they were, doing peyote inside the teepee or what, and going into the spirit world and whatever they were doing. But they're banging drums forever all night long and having fires, and it was a wild night. But that's all I pretty much remember from that.
Wow,
great experience though. I mean, it was a great experience out there in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, man, it sounds like I'd love to be a part of something like that, man. That's really cool. I was just assuming that they were talking about Bigfoot. I mean, is that how you took it?
That's how I took it, that there was some kind of being that was, superior. They didn't really give any description of it, but I had a feeling it was like that kind of, it was like a Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever they really didn't have a name for it, but they just called it the guardian of the forest. So,
yeah, I mean, and you talking about how you got into it sounds a lot like how I did. Anytime anybody asks me, that's why I tell them. Anytime when I was a kid in elementary school, and we'd go to the library once a week, and anytime I saw anything on Bigfoot, I was checking it out. Anytime that I was at home surfing the channels and I saw anything on Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster, Chupacabra, I stopped. There's just always been that fascination. I wonder why that is.
I think it's just that thing to fathom something that's greater than us, that's more powerful, more superior to us, that is elusive, that kind of gives you that excitement. I would say,
Yeah, it's got to be something like that. What's been going on with the land between the lakes? I know you wanted to touch on that a little bit. What's been going on up there?
Well, the land between the lakes, everyone knows about the murders that happened with the dogman. Well, there's I don't know the guy that came out, but a guy named Roger came out and said he experienced, the family being killed, but he said his experience was an Amish family, and it was totally different than the story that everyone else has been talking about for 30 years, and it kind of caused a lot of controversy. But Nick Valente from the National Dogman Society actually interviewed him this week, or I think Friday, on Josh's show on PRT, and every question that Nick asked this guy Roger, I mean, he answered to the T. He never changed his answers, and everything he was calm about. I mean, it was very believable. So, I mean, maybe there was two accounts that happened. I don't know. I was just wondering if you heard anything like that, or if you were, the credibility.
No, this is the first that I'm hearing about that.
Right. He was actually on Cryptid Studies Institute a couple months ago, maybe, and he told his encounter, and that kind of just caused a whole controversy across the community. And, it kind of went from there and kind of just escalated. But apparently the guy got a deal from one of the networks to kind of tell his encounter, and he's kind of signed a no clause statement to not be on any more podcasts. So I guess he's got a serious deal.
So the guy that came out with this story has signed a contract to not do any more. That he's going to go on TV with it. You're saying?
Yes.
Wow.
But apparently he was the only survivor of this attack, and he was hiding under the RV. He was kind of like crouched up under the drive axle when all this happened, and he witnessed, one of the dogmen killing the father and the son. And he told the story pretty well. I mean, if you go on the Cryptid Studies Institute, you can hear the whole story. It's pretty wild.
I'm going to as soon as we're done. The Cryptid Studies Institute. That's Elijah.
Elijah and Johnny Henderson. And God bless them. They lost they lost his wife and they lost the mom, and they're going through a lot of crap. I mean, I just saw Johnny post today that he his car. He let somebody fix his car, and the guy didn't fix his car right and gypped him a bunch of money. And I just feel so bad for him in this time of loss and mourning, that he's going through more stress and drama that he has to deal with on top of burying his wife. I can't even imagine that.
I saw Elijah's post about losing his mother, and those two guys were one of our one of our very first guests. I think they were episode 3 or 4. And we had like 20 subscribers at the time, and it didn't bother those guys a bit. They came on and they did a show with us, just down to earth, awesome guys. They both are. Johnny grew up in in town that I was living in, or I had just moved from, in Dayton, Tennessee, and had a lot of cool stories about that out there. And I really hated to hear that they lost her. I didn't even know that she had been sick. So that's terrible. Do they have a GoFundMe or anything up?
They do have a GoFundMe, I believe, and I think that I think it's over now. But I think they were auctioning off Barton Nunnally's video, some video he had about Dogman. They were auctioning them off on the PRT channel. Not sure. I think that the auction's over now, but all the proceeds were going to that family, and then those videos were going to be given away to like listeners in the future. But that's a really nice thing to do. I mean, I can only imagine the cost of burying a loved one. I can't even go through that thought of that. It's just mind-boggling.
I lost my mom 7 years ago, and Buddy Walls here has lost both of his parents. So he could speak to that.
Yes, sir. So I'll go on about Bigfoot if you want.
Man, let's do it.
So I was, I pretty much grew up in the woods my whole life, hunting, fishing, all that. I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm a Yankee. So pardon me.
Oh, you're fine, man. You're fine.
I'm just messing with you guys.
Yeah.
But so I grew up in New Jersey. Rode dirt bikes in the woods all day long. Fished, along the Jersey Shore. Fished in the ocean. Fished in lakes. I was an outdoors person my whole life, pretty much. But I went hunting with my brother. In 1998, we went to a place in Canada called KOA Outfitters. It's by the Ontario or Ottawa River, and it was called the KOA. I think it was the River Lodge. And the guides there, the one guy's name was Terry, and he drove a really, really old beat-up Chevy Suburban, like a 1978. One of those battle tank Suburbans. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
That light blue, beat up, rusty color looking thing, and it's they had the thing jacked up with the big lights on it. I mean, it was amazing, and it was still running, but it was a beast. So we went to this bear hunt with him, my brother. It was like a 3 or 4 day excursion, and 2 days I fished, 2 days I hunted. So 2 days I fished on the river, and we went out baiting for the bear with the hunting guide. And when he took us out to bait, he took us on like a little log road trail. And as we came out of the trail, it was right before dusk. I mean, a moose ran out next to the Suburban, and the moose's rack stood above the guy's roof of his Suburban, and it just kind of ran up next to the Suburban. And I never saw a moose before, so when this thing runs up next to the truck, I'm like, holy shit! That thing is you don't realize how big a freaking moose is until it's right up, right next to you. And it's pretty amazing sight. We're just lucky that it didn't, ram the guy's truck off the road.
Yeah, I've never even seen a moose in person, but I've heard people talk about how enormous they are, man.
I mean,
That has to be terrifying.
Its rack had to be at least 7 to 8 foot, wide this way, 4 foot on each side. That's how big its rack was. It's amazing. It's just an awesome sight to see something like that live. But so on top of that, besides that part, it was the second or third day after we baited. The day before we left, I went in the stand with my brother, and we had 7 mag, Remington 7 mag rifles. We're sitting in the stand for maybe 2 hours, and nothing's coming by. I think a couple of those Martin bird, I think they call them Martin birds, were flying around, and that's all we saw for about 2-3 hours. So we get out of the stand because we're kind of bored, we're tired, and we're like, we're not going to see no bear, nothing's coming. Let's just get out of here. So we did. We got down. We walked out about a half a mile into the woods, and this is maybe 100 yards. Maybe 100 to 200 yards from the road where the guy dropped us off to pick us back up when it gets dark. So we're walking around in an area. It's almost like a dried up creek bog, and it's kind of set back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see about 70 yards away is where the tree wood line is, and it's just about dusk time. And we're looking at the woods, and me and my brother are just looking at each other. And we look again, and we see something standing in the wood line. And this is one of those wood line where it's like a tunnel in the wood line where there's like a hole cut out of it, like for like big game, just like a game trail or whatnot. And this thing is we see a silhouette of something that fills up the whole damn hole that's set back in the tree line. And we just kind of look at each other, and our eyes got real big. And then we look back, and it's gone. And all you hear a really loud thump. Like 2-step thump. Like you can tell it's a bipedal thump. It's not nothing else. It's not a moose. It's not a bear. This thing was so wide, it filled that whole damn hole up. And when it was gone, we looked at each other. I'm like, holy shit, what was that? And I kind of knew what it was. I had a feeling, but I didn't say it. I don't want to really spook my brother because he doesn't believe in that kind of stuff, and he probably never will because he's just one of those diehard hunters that if he let that stuff get to him, he probably wouldn't go in the woods again. So he kind of like lives in denial about that.
Yeah.
So after that, we're walking out of that trail to go back to the road to get picked up by the hunting guide. And all of a sudden we start hearing these really loud howls. And it's kind of like back to back, like we're being flanked. And these howls are so loud, like it kind of goes through you. It's almost like it pierces your body. Like we're just, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it right now. But it reminded me of like Lord of the Rings. You remember when the orcs are marching in for battle, and they're making those like really loud grunts and roars, they're so freaking loud, and it just sounds like an army just marching through the woods. That's kind of what we heard. That's what it sounded like from at least back then. I didn't know what Lord of the Rings was because the movie never came out. But after seeing that movie, that sound kind of like hit something in my mind. I'm like, holy crap, that's the sound I heard in Canada. So the sound's getting louder. It's coming closer, and you can almost feel the ground like trembling as they're getting closer. And we're just kind of looking at each other like, what the hell are we going to do? We're going to die in the woods in Canada. So we kind of like put our backs to back, and we're both holding the rifle, and we're just waiting for something to happen. And I think we have one of those cheap mag lights that holds like 4D batteries. And then, back then they weren't that bright. They're pretty dull lights. They're not really going to do much. So that being said, we start seeing the lights from the Suburban, and we're like, oh God, thank God. So we get in the truck. We don't say nothing to the hunting guide because we didn't want him to be like thinking that we're crazy, or try to run us out, or just make fun of us, or whatever, ridicule. But I'm sure he's probably seen stuff in them woods, and he won't talk about it either. But that being said, we just kind of kept it quiet that whole night. And that was probably one of the scariest nights of my life.
Where was that at again, Tom?
In Canada. It's right along the what is it? Not the Allegheny. Allegheny's in Pennsylvania. There's a forest out there in Canada. It was in the back of my head. Now I can't think of it. God. it'll come back to me later. But it's along a national park in Canada, that's out there. And it's right along the Ontario River. It's called KOA Outfitters, the River Lodge. But
Yeah, yeah. I've heard. Is that the same people that do the campgrounds out here, the KOA?
I guess it's the same franchise, but this is a hunting lodge where they have hunting and fishing, and you can go for like 3 to 5 days, and you can go for black bear and I think some kind of maybe elk or maybe moose. But we did the black bear and fishing, package. It was like, back then it was like $900. I had to save up, for 2 weeks of work to go there, and I mean I loved it. I still wouldn't take it back. I mean, the experiences I had out there was amazing. That whole trip, nobody shot a black bear except for a guy. I still remember his name was Bud. He was 88 years old, and he shot a black bear. I got the pictures too, because they actually have a big log, like a stump log, where they set the bear up to take pictures. Then they after they take the pictures with the person that gets the bear, they actually skin it right there on site for whoever gets the bear, and they'll like skin it and they'll wrap it up in a bag and put it in a freezer, and they can take it home with them. So they got a bear hide.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Pretty crazy experience. And then let's see, 1998. Was it 2005? It's either 2005 or 2006. I'm hunting with my brother. He lives in Reddington, New Jersey, or he did. White House, Reddington area. It's by 20 minutes from Pennsylvania, before you get to Easton. But it's all country farms, hills, woods. It's right along the backside of Round Valley Reservoir, which is a huge mountain. And then behind the mountain is a reservoir that they kind of made. And it was kind of one of them things where they kind of, they kind of drove the people out of the village back in the day before they built it. And some people didn't want to move, so they just flooded them out and killed them. So that's a real spooky area. A lot of people go missing in that water. And I'm willing to believe that it's a paranormal thing, that they're being, something's taking them down underwater. With that being said, we were hunting in the woods on this guy's farmland. And my brother gets a deer. He shot one with his bow. I wasn't hunting that night. He was. And he needed help getting it because he said it was a huge buck. He's never seen one that big. And I think it was only like a 7 or 8 pointer. I mean, but its rack was amazing. But he shot it, and he said he didn't think he killed it. So we had to go back out a little bit later on and go drag him out. And we went to go get him. He tried the buck got up and ran one more time, like his last, wind of life. So once he shot him in the neck. We waited another 10 minutes, and he was finally dead. So my brother's like, well, we got to get him out of the woods. And I'm not dragging this big ass. So his house wasn't too far from this guy's farm where we're hunting, because the guy gave us permission to hunt. He was an old timer farmer, and he liked my brother a lot, so he let him do whatever he wanted, hunt his property whenever. So he went to his house. He got his 4-wheeler, and it took about 5-10 minutes for him to go get his 4-wheeler and come back. And he wanted me to kind of drag the deer close to a spot where he can load it up and tie a rope to it and drag it to his house. So I'm in the woods, and I don't have any flashlight. I don't have any lights. I don't think I had a phone on me at that time. It's pitch black, and I'm trying to drag this 200-pound buck, through like a little creek. So I got smart. I'm like, what, the hell with this? I'm not dragging him on the land. I picked it up and dragged it across to a little creek area, and it was probably about 2.5, 3 foot deep. And I was kind of walking along the edge. So I'm dragging it by his rack over, letting him float on the water. So I'm not having to work as hard to get him up. All of a sudden, I start hearing like something's following me. And I'm like looking around back. I can't see nothing, but I have that feeling, and my hair is standing on the back of my neck. I can't kick this feeling. So I'm gonna keep looking around. I stop. And every time I stop, I feel like whatever is following me, stalking me, is stopping. So I get up real scared, real paranoid, and I kind of just, I don't know why I did. It was probably really stupid, but I kind of made like a really, really loud gorilla grunt and started like beating on my chest and just kind of like roared really loud. And I figured whatever it was, I'd scare it off. And I still can't explain what it was it could have been there really isn't any coyote out in that part of New Jersey. There is now. I'm thinking maybe it could have been a black bear or it was Bigfoot, because that area is highly, densely populated with deer. It's got a lot of water, a lot of creeks, and it's got that huge reservoir on the side. So I'm thinking maybe, Bigfoot was trying to get a meal for free. And then once I kind of did that, maybe he backed off. I don't know. But all I know is right after that, my brother came back with his quad. And, he had one of them really loud 4x4 ATVs with the deep baffled. So it was super loud. He hooked up a rope to it and dragged it to his house. And we cleaned it in his garage that night. That was another somewhat encounter I had. I mean, I think it was an encounter. I can't be 100% sure, but to my gut feeling, I know it was something that wanted that deer. And like I said, there wasn't really that much big predators out there. There's no mountain lion, no cats or nothing like that. So that's what I'm going with on that part.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what exactly you think Bigfoot is. What camp are you in?
That's a good question, because there's a lot of controversy about it. I hear a lot of people going with the woo and the supernatural thing, but honestly, I just think it's a person that's maybe not as civilized as us, that's left behind. Like I've always been on the part like the missing link, the cross between before. I'm not going to go with the primate theory. I'm just going to go the cross before, evolution, before man became man. That's the missing part before, like the missing DNA that they really they don't know what it is, like the Denisovan before the Neanderthal.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think either. I find it really interesting that you said the word person. I think that's cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Indians consider them another tribe, so why wouldn't they be a person? I mean, they're not going to call buffalo a tribe. They're not going to call wolf a tribe. They're not going to call bear a tribe.
That's true.
A wolf is a pack. A bear is, the same thing. It's a group,
Yeah.
a troop.
You call them animals.
Yeah, they're animals, but they consider the Sasquatch a different tribe of people. I mean, they always have. Could be considered the other tribe of the hairy man, or they call them the stick Indian. So why would they call them the stick Indian if they're a creature, an animal, or something supernatural?
Yeah, I agree. I got it right here. One of our very first guests that we ever had on wrote this book. It said Bigfoot, My Encounter with the Forest People, America's Last Free Tribe. I always thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
He called them forest people and said that they were a tribe, basically. So that's a really cool way of thinking about it. So you think that it's just another branch of people?
I do, and I do believe they have some kind of power. I can't explain the power they have. I mean, it could just be something as simple as I've heard a lot of that their hair has a certain it's made a certain way where light can reflect off the color, and you can't see it if the sunlight's beating on a certain way. So if that's the case, you see the way these jets are being camouflaged by pushing a button and changing their electromagnetic field, so you can't see it because they're losing the color, the wavelength of color. So I mean, it makes sense to me. I'm not going to say 100% because I can't prove it. I can't study one, but that's kind of my opinion, my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have, and actually, our next show that we've got coming up, we're going to go a little woo with it. I entitled the show "Who Let the Woo Out," because everybody that watches us knows where we stand. We don't really buy into the whole woo part of it. The paranormal, the extraterrestrial side of it, but there are a lot of people out there that do. And just like you said, with all the reports that are out there, with some of the things that people are seeing them do, there's something else to it.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a show, I think it's next week, with a gentleman I've been talking to for a while that is definitely woo and going to be sharing a lot of that stuff. So you said that you thought that you think that they do have some abilities. What kind of abilities? Could you be a little more specific? What do you think they can do?
Like their cloaking abilities, like when people say where they're walking to like through a tree and then they just disappear into thin air, or when people are tracking prints, I've even seen prints in my backyard. I'll see one print and I don't see prints anywhere else. So they could just be being really smart and covering them up with the twig. I've heard of people saying that they've seen them showing little ones doing it with take a branch and brushing off their footprints, but I can't prove that. It's just a theory on what I've heard.
That's that's kind of pretty cool how talking about the cloaking, because I was finishing watching Expedition Bigfoot and their season of this ending, and they were on big on thinking about the cloaking, and they got to the point where about the military and the government and how they were talking about how their hair would have to be some kind of wave to move it so fast that it would blend into the surroundings. But they also came off with saying that their hair could be wound up and put twigs and everything would be on it, where that they could be sitting there and blend gorilla suit and a ghillie suit. And then they also came off with talking about they had one where she was dead right with a thermal image looking right at something behind a tree, and she'd hit the light and there'd be nothing there, and then it'd be on thermal. It was crazy, but and I think they can quote. I think they're like almost like a chameleon. It blends in with the colors. I think
that makes more sense to me than the cloaking. I think you're splitting hairs, kind of. You're walking down a fine line when you talk about cloaking. What exactly is cloaking? Can a chameleon cloak? They have the ability to change colors. Would that be considered cloaking? If Bigfoot had this special rare kind of hair that is translucent or whatever, is that what people are seeing and they think that they're cloaking?
It's
possible.
I can see that, but I've looked at that. I've actually looked at that. They even shown where that we, as a military, we have the ability to cloak or mirrorize something in there. They have a thing where you can cloak and disappear behind something. Even with the magicians, it's like almost like putting an illusion out there, but they have the ability of it. Where they got this, I have no clue. They even said it on TV. They said, yes, the government is going to be involved with this. They're going to be really interested in something like that. We experienced it in a way in the same area, and they were in Washington State, where you want to go, Wayne, doing this. And the whole time, nothing was going on. And then all of a sudden, the military shows up, the helicopters, big Black Hawk showing up out of nowhere. And it's possible. Anything's possible. And so anything.
Ryan Mormon's asking, are they able to vibrate their hair when wanted? I don't really. I don't know what you mean by vibrate, Ryan. Maybe you can.
I believe he's referring to as the sound wave. When you sound wave and you can see almost if you look at something, it kind of looks like it's vibrating. It's almost just it changes color that way. It will change and blend in. It's kind of like I believe that's what he's referring to.
Yeah. Jen Oaks, please, send us that link if you don't mind, ma'am. I would appreciate that. Go ahead, Tom. I interrupted you, buddy.
No, you're good. Right. So the other thing is like the infrasound. They have that ability for infrasound where people say they've been zapped or they feel like they've been. And that they said, that was on Expedition Bigfoot. That guy RPG got hit with infrasound and he was sick for the whole night. He couldn't move. He was like he was dying. So But the thing is, what is it? Whales, tigers, lions, they produce infrasound too for their prey. Mm-hmm. So, it's not really a psychic ability. It's kind of like something that was given, from creation.
Yep.
But here's
That's
the
true.
thing. Here's the thing with me. The whole RPG thing that happened. I believe that he looked sick. I believe something was wrong with that man. But do they have the ability to only hit who they want? With the
Well, when killer whales
why
hunt,
weren't others? I'm asking why. I guess the better way to put it is why weren't others affected the way he was?
Well, he was solo that night investigating, wasn't he? With a
he
camera or
was
something.
solo.
He was
That's
by
what I was going to
himself.
ask.
So if he was by
Yeah.
himself, what it means to get if he was getting too close to maybe the babies or the family, or he was getting close, where they didn't want him, maybe to where their living quarters was. Maybe they hit him with some infrasound to get him away and drive him off. And
That makes sense.
with that, you're not going to go investigate any further. When you get hit with that, you're going to get the hell out of there and take cover and try to lay down and rest and feel better.
And it's really a humane way of doing it, Instead of killing somebody, hit them with that, make them sick for a little while, make them think about it. We're all speculating. We're speculating because none of us know.
No.
True. I mean, we could have been that night of our camp thing. Our whole when we stay where we're gonna stand our ground. I'm usually the one that stands the ground, but I'm gonna stand. But I said, yeah, let's go, let's get out of here. Maybe that was something, and it hit both of us, and we were both by ourselves because Janice and them were gone. We was just us walking. So I mean,
yeah, dude from Texas here. I appreciate your participation tonight, dude from Texas. You're new to me. I don't remember seeing you on here. Welcome, but great participation tonight. He has a really good question. What are y'all's thoughts on how they speak? Telepathically, or whatever. That was going to be one of my next questions to you, Tom, is what do you think about the mind speak?
Well, I know a lady. I don't know if you know Robin Haynes McCrae.
Heard the name.
She's kind of in the Bigfoot world. She told me she can mind speak to Bigfoot, and she told me some stuff about my property that she's never been to my house. She doesn't know exactly where I'm. She pretty much pinpointed my backyard property from she said mind speaking with Bigfoot. We're communicating with one, and I mean I can't prove it. All I can say is everything she described to me about my woods were spot on. So I mean anything's possible. I mean I think honestly when you're searching for them, if you go out with a good heart, good intentions, they can pick up on that. And I'm thinking that it's like a frequency and a vibration that you're giving off that kind of goes to them, and they feel it, and they kind of give it back to you as a thought. I'm not saying that they're speaking, but that they might give you a thought, and your body can pick up that thought and turn it into like a word or a feeling.
I could go with that. That night that happened, I could definitely go with that. That makes a little bit of sense.
Ryan Mormon here just hit it right on the head. There's too many credible accounts of mind speak.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like Dogman with me. There's too many credible people talking about seeing this thing, and they're all saying no, it's different from a Bigfoot, because I was in the camp for a long, long time that Dogman were just misidentified Bigfoots or a different type of Bigfoot that we weren't as familiar with. I mean, we're not real familiar with any of them, but one that's maybe not seen as much. But when you hear people talk, it's just there's too many accounts out there for this thing.
Yep.
This thing has to be its own thing. What do you think, Tom?
About the talking?
No, about Dogman. And I used to think that Dogman was just a misidentified Bigfoot, but there's just too many accounts out there that are speaking otherwise.
I mean, people are seeing an upright walking canine, and it's just like there's too many accounts. I mean, I was listening to last week. Paul Chafin. He's seen one. He had it on camera. He has prints. I mean, the prints are bigger. The paw prints are bigger than his hand, and I don't think it's a dire wolf. People are trying to say with the dire wolf, bandwagon. I wouldn't call it bandwagon, but they're jumping on that dire wolf theory that the dire wolves haven't been extinct and they're still around. But I don't think a dire wolf can walk on the back two legs and has muscular upper body like a bodybuilder. to make Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger jealous. So I mean, these things are out there. I can't explain what they are. I mean, they're probably something that's been around for a long time, and because of the humans, we've ruined everything. We're building houses, we're cutting down trees, we're building shopping malls, we're building apartments. I mean, we're just tearing out their home. So where else are they going to go but to kind of retaliate and show themselves to us and scare us?
Right on the nose, buddy. That's exact. I think that's exactly why there's been an uptick in sightings over the last 15, 20 years or whatever. It's because we're building into their home.
Here's the thing. We have all these national parks. Just like I've said this once before, we have all these national parks. The houses that are close to these places can only cut so far back. I wonder if it's regulated, because most of that has to go through the government to zoning and all that stuff. I think if the government knows this, I think they stop them to a point from cutting back even more. Even the logging companies, like up in Washington State, they have a law up there that you can only cut so far towards certain of the landscape. You can only cut so far, and the rest of it you have to leave alone. So I mean, if the government knows about this, why wouldn't they? How could they not put their hands in there and regulate where you build? How you keep it quiet, just like a black bear. You got black bears roaming in sometimes in the neighborhoods, and then what do? They come out as soon as they get them. They come out and shoot them or tranquilize them and relocate them. It's a thing. I mean, that's what's the government knows about these things. I ain't.
Oh yeah.
You can't tell me no difference. I mean, there's just too much. If they know about UFOs. Okay, nobody ever knew about them until they had the Roswell, and they finally come out of that. Nobody knew about Area 51 until somebody discovered it. I mean, and then they have another secret base that's supposed to be
Dulce, New Mexico.
Yeah. So I mean,
Bill Schneider.
All right. A good show. I've been. The other thing to check out is my buddy's been watching it. He's actually asked me several things about what I thought about Bigfoot and everything on our speculations is the Skinwalker Ranch. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good stuff on that. Are you
talking about the series, or there's a couple specials on Amazon Prime? You're talking about the series Skinwalker Ranch?
Yeah, the whole series with the guys out there, the guy that bought it, rebought it, and what they're trying to figure out. Yeah, I mean,
I've seen that. I haven't watched it yet.
There's all kinds of anomalies and just weird stuff that goes on when they're recording. I saw the first season; it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Looks like we've got about 6-7 minutes left. Left in the hour. We can go over a little bit, but
you want one more encounter?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Okay, so this is when I lived in I moved to North Carolina in 2007, right? And I've lived along in like the Charlotte metro area. We bought a house 2015, and I don't know if it was that summer or the year after, but I built a little clubhouse out of pallets along my back fence wood line. And a pallet's 4 foot. So I made it a two tier of pallet walls. Like it was like kind of like a 2-story. I think I used about 16 pallets, and I built it into trees, and I used some wooden platforms, and it was pretty sturdy. My kids loved it. So one night we're outside, and my wife sees 2 green eyes, and it's above the second tier of the pallet, so that's above 8 foot. And she sees 2 green eyes, and then I kind of saw them for a second, and like I glanced when I saw them, and then when I looked again, they were gone. But these eyes were spaced perfectly apart, where they weren't an owl, they weren't a deer, and they weren't a person. I mean, they were big green eyes, and it kind of gave us a little shakeup that night. So I kind of had a feeling something was going on, but I couldn't really prove it, and I kind of fell into the whole just whatever it is, what it is. One night, well, not one night. It was in the morning. It was about 5:30. I think it was 2017. I'm going deer hunting in my backyard. I have a tree stand I made out of a platform stand I built out of 3 trees. I mean, it's a really nice stand. It's really solid. It's sturdy. It's made of like 2x12s. it's like the dream tree stand, the homemade style. And I have an extension ladder to get up to it. I mean, it's great. It's perfect. I could lay down and sleep on it if I want to. So that being said, I get into the stand around 5:30 before daybreak, and I'm using just my little flashlight on my phone. That's all I have. That I have my crossbow, and I had like a little miniature like 100 lumen spotlight or flashlight clicker. So I get up in the stand. I'm sitting down. I'm getting kind of set up, waiting for the sun to come. All of a sudden, I start hearing like a ooh, ooh, and then I start hearing a clicking noise. It's like so, and this is 20 yards from me on the ground to my 11 o'clock. And then I hear the same exact sound at my 3 o'clock at 40 yards. And it goes back and forth for about, it felt like an hour, but it was probably about 2 minutes. And I'm shaking. My whole body is shaking. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of like, it's kind of like that fight or flight mode. And there's nothing I can do because I'm 14 feet in the air on my tree stand. And all I have is a crossbow and a 380 with, 6 shots. What's a 380 going to do?
Make it mad.
Piss it off.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I'm just shaking. I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about like what's going on in my mind. My heart's about to beat out of my chest. So all of a sudden I just like, what, fuck it. I get up and I stand up. I'm like, listen, I don't want no trouble. I'm not here to bother you. I just want to get a deer. I'll leave you alone. You guys leave me alone. And I shit you not, 30 seconds later, dead silence. And then another couple minutes, the birds start chirping, dawn breaks, sun starts, coming, you start seeing the sunrise, and then the kind of woods light up. And, right after, dawn, the sun comes up, when you're deep in the woods are still dark. So I waited about another hour and a half, 2 hours. And then everything lights up around the woods. I got the hell out of there. And I didn't really say nothing to anybody about it because I was just so shook from it. And after that event encounter, I didn't go in the woods for 3 months. I didn't go hunting for 3 months. I was scared to go back there.
Tom, do you think they were hunting you or scaring you?
I honestly think that they were either scaring me or just letting me know that they were there. Because if they were hunting me, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you guys. I think they were just kind of warning me, saying, "Hey, we're out here." Maybe they had something going on with a family or a baby or whatever the fact was. They not that they didn't want me there. They were just letting me know that they were there. Because, like I said, if they didn't want me there, I would have got bluff charged. I would have got stuff thrown at me. I would have had all kinds of stuff. And these were, it sounded huge, whatever was making that noise. It didn't sound like no little animal. It sounded, very extraordinary, large creature, being, person, whatever you want to call it. And I was scared shitless enough to not go in the woods for 3 months after that day. So I started going around the woods after that, back hunting, and then I started doing some exploring. If you go onto the group page, you can see all the pictures I posted. There's all kinds of X's and bends, formations, structures. There's all kinds of stuff back in the woods by my house. And the funny thing is, this recent hunting season in bow hunting, I missed a shot on a 2-point spike buck. And I know I missed it because I crossbow hunt. You can't shoot guns in Charlotte. You can only use, crossbows. So I missed him, by probably about this much right above his head. And I actually seen the bolt go over it, and he ran to the left. And I'm like, damn, I missed the damn deer. So it is what it is. A couple days later, I'm walking in the woods, just doing a little trekking and just little boots to the ground, just checking for like anything I could see new. Because I always go there to see for new stuff, new prints, or new bends, new breaks. That being said, there's a deer laying next to a tree, and I look at it. It's the same deer that I missed. I shit you not. The same deer I missed a shot on is laying under a tree, and I go to look at it, and I'm like, okay, it's dead. And I look at it a little more. Its neck is snapped completely back, like it's kind of like just folded over. And I examine the body. There's not one mark on the body. Nothing is broken. There's no marks on like the knee joints, the knuckles, nothing. So I'm like, wow. So I look up. I'm like, thank you guys for the deer, but I can't. The deer sat there for 3 days. It was gut rotted. The meat wasn't good. It was rotten. So I drag it out. I drag it out 40 yards along a dry creek bed. And as I do that, I just lay it there and say thank you. And I come back a couple days later. I don't know if it's the next day or 2 days later. And you can see the drag. I saw the drag marks where I dragged it to where I finally laid it because I kind of hid it. I don't want no one to think I was poaching the deer because I don't do that.
Yeah.
I eat the deer if I get it. But that being said, when I came back 2 days later, 2 to 3 days tops. I don't exactly know if it was 2 or 3 days, but it was 2 to 3 days. I come back, the deer is gone. There's not one piece of hair where I set him down, where I laid him, and there's not one drag mark from that spot. So I'm like, holy shit. It's the only thing I could think of is something picked it up, threw it over its shoulder, and said, all right, you don't want the deer, I'll take it home and eat it. So
wow. What else could have killed a deer that way? A human didn't.
A human can't snap. I mean, I've wrestled a deer when it was dying to try to kill it humanely with a knife, and its neck was moving my whole body, and it wasn't even a full size 8-point buck. It was like a 4 or 6 pointer, and its neck was just going back and forth. This was back in Jersey back in the day, but I know the strength of a deer's neck. Their necks are immensely strong. I mean, their whole neck is just one solid muscle. So
wow.
A human can't really break a deer's neck. So, I mean, it was something bigger than a human. That's all I'm saying.
That's awesome. That's a cool story right there.
And most cats don't even, they go for the neck, but they can't break it. They cut the guggler.
They bite it.
Yeah,
they bite it, cut the wind off.
Yeah.
And that's how they drag it by that way.
Yeah. What I was wanting to talk about, we just found out before we came live, guys, that Tom is actually in North Carolina, and that's not real far from Walls and myself.
Nope.
And as a lot of you know, I think it was last October. Was it October or November when we had that big outing with Old Bear and Janice? It was October, wasn't it?
Something like that.
It was fall time. Tennessee was playing. We were listening to the game. It was when the weekend Tennessee played Georgia. That's the weekend.
It was in the cold time.
Yeah, well, it wasn't freezing, but it was starting to get cool outside. Old Bear contacted me a couple weeks ago and asked me when we were going to do that again. Wanted to go back to about the same area. And all you guys know that I'm expecting my daughter any day now, really, within the next week or so anyway. So I told him that I'm not going to be doing anything for a little while. I got a new baby on the way, and I'm not going to leave her alone and all this stuff. So I told him that maybe October would be a good time to set something new up. And that'd give everybody plenty of time. That'd get us all the way through summer, start making arrangements. Because he talked about, the Squatchy Cowboy's been on here tonight. Joe was on here. He's talking about coming out. Old Bear is going to come back down from West Virginia. And I think, Tom, man, it would be awesome for you to come hang out with us. You're in North Carolina, and the place that we went is on the line, the North Carolina line.
What's the name of the
How
place?
far were we at, Walls? We were 10 minutes from the North Carolina line?
Roughly. Yeah.
You know anything about the Ocoee, Tom?
No.
The Ocoee River was the river that all of the water sports, the kayaking and stuff from the 96 Olympics when they were in Atlanta. Okay. There's nothing like that in Atlanta, so they drove north for those parts of the games. And that's where
Murphy, North Carolina is, right?
What?
Murphy, North Carolina. Do you know, Tom?
Yes.
If you can take Murphy, North Carolina, and get into town of Murphy, you'll take that road, which is 64, and you take it all the way straight out. You'll run right into the line, right there where Ocoee is at. That's the whole Ocoee.
How far from Murphy are you?
I'm on maybe 2.5 hours, I think. I got a friend from Murphy, so
that's
maybe
not
3
bad,
hours.
man.
Oh, but I want to say a shout out to Duke at Bigfoot World Bigfoot Radio. What's going on, Duke? I got a couple comments from him. He's a pretty good dude, man. I like Duke.
Yeah, Duke's been on a couple times. Duke's awesome. Really good guy.
Wait,
But anyway, yeah, man. Would you want to come out? And I'm thinking about trying to put something big together.
That's
I would,
about
lo- I would love
3 hour
to.
drive for him.
I would love to. I'm actually gonna I'm gonna miss the world. There's some kind of Bigfoot thing in Tennessee coming up soon, and I'm probably gonna wind up missing it this year. But if you guys got something coming up in the fall, I would love to come to it because the fall is better timing scheduling for me as well. I would love. It would be an honor. Do you guys? Do you bring do you bring protection when you do these or no?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We go out in the woods strap, buddy.
I just obtained a really nice Mosin Nagant that was upfitted. It was kind of upgraded to the retro or the newer style stock. It was upgraded and it's pretty badass looking. I'm dying to use it, which I'm not trying to say I want to use it on that, but I'm just dying to get it out because it's pretty badass looking. It shoots you a 7.62.
Yeah, the most thing I think that's what he carries a handgun.
Yeah,
I carry my camera.
They carry their handgun. I carry the axe and the machete and the knives. And
one thing that we ask that our members of our group is when we're out doing investigations, scouting areas, we're out there trying to get as close to these things as we can, obviously. And if you have a long gun, crossbow, anything like that, you're just not going to get close to them because I believe they know what guns are.
They know boomstick. They know that.
Yeah, boomstick. There you go. So we ask all of our people to always go protected, but keep a handgun on you.
I got several, so I'm good.
Yeah. So that's what we do. Anyway, but yeah, man, it would be
my ammo too. So the ammo's not cheap anymore. You got to save that.
No, it's not. And I think you're allowed to buy like 1 box per person.
Yeah.
That's how it is in Tennessee anyway.
Academy's 2 boxes a day. So if you go every day, you could buy, 2 boxes today, 2 boxes tomorrow, as long as they have supplies. But I really had a good time on your show, guys. I really enjoyed it. It was amazing. And we'd like to, eventually have you come on a show with me and whoever. So.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we'd be happy to. But yeah, we will definitely stay in touch about this thing because I would like to put something together. That campground that we went to is pretty big, and if we could talk to that guy that the guy that we met last time that was kind of over the campground, if we could get a hold of him and he watches it, if you're watching, get a hold of me, buddy, because I want to talk to you about renting out at least half of that campground and. Do it big, man. Have some people come down, like Tom from North Carolina. We have Joe from Texas, Old Bear from West Virginia. We have members in Virginia that would come down and just do it right, not charge anything. Just have everybody come together and just talk about Bigfoot. Just have a good time, a little Bigfoot camp out.
You just pay for your own way, pay for your campsite and your food and your drinks, and that's it.
Exactly.
That's it. Way. Not like these price gouging idiots out there are charging $300 to go on a Bigfoot expedition and you don't see shit, but get robbed.
What's his name? Todd Standing, guy we had on a couple weeks ago, showed me his invite from Todd Standing where he was accepted to go on an outing with Todd Standing, $3,500 for 4 days. $3,500 to go out with Todd Standing.
Is he getting the back rub for that too?
Paying for the name. That's all they're paying.
Exactly. Yeah, and we all know there's no way you can guarantee seeing a Bigfoot.
No.
Not
if they don't want to be seen. I want
to
say thank you to Dave, dude from Texas, Al Santoriga, Lisa A, all the people in my family from the Doug Pack.
Patrick,
awesome.
If you come to the thing, we might see it. You might see that if it gets back out there again. Because I'm not running this time.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with it, we had a bad experience at that place last time. So we're dying to go back. We actually packed up our second night and left.
Wow.
We don't have enough time to get into that, man. We've already gone over an hour.
We could always do another one in the future. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, when we come on with you guys, we'll talk about that because a lot of your people, I'm sure, haven't heard that story, and it's interesting.
And the new group I started is called All Things Cryptid and Paranormal. I just started it today, so if anybody's interested, come check it out. Come join. I'll accept you. I'll be glad to. So, good stuff.
All right, buddy. And again, Just want to thank you for taking the time, come hang out with us, and it was really good. It was fun, man.
I had
It
a
was
good time.
fun.
We had a good time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
If
buddy.
you
And
got time, I'm actually going to go take a trip down to the battlefield tonight and do a Facebook Live with our Mannimal Research Facebook Live and do a couple of spots and see what happens. See if anything talks to the thing like it did that one night too when I was by myself. But I'll have my buddy Greg. I got backup this time, so
Good.
after what happened with Daryl, I'm taking a chance.
I'll catch up on it tomorrow if it'll still be available to watch tomorrow because I got
This
prayer.
could be.
I got prayer and devotion tonight with my wife. I do it every night at 10 o'clock. So
awesome,
That's
awesome.
fun.
That's
Wayne,
awesome, buddy.
Wayne, congrats with the baby, man. Blessings to you with the baby. Hopefully everything goes smooth, man.
Thank you very much, buddy. You have a good night, okay, buddy? I don't want to keep you from mama.
Prayers for you at the battlefield. You get home safe, brother.
Thank you.
All right.
I will. I'll do my best.
See you, bud.
Later.
All right. Yeah, I didn't know Tom was a man of God. That's awesome. I didn't. We were talking about that a little bit more. See, all regulars know that I am too. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's very true. All right, man. You be safe out there. Be careful if you go out.
I'm going. I got backup, so I got somebody extra ears, extra eyes, and we're gonna see if something that's maybe something stirring. See what happens.
Take some pictures, send them to me. We'll get them uploaded.
All right.
Say your goodbyes and your good nights.
Well, guys, I hope you guys have a good night. Stay tuned if you guys are still up. Keep an eye on the Facebook Live. I'm going to go live as soon as I get out there and see what happens. And y'all be right there with us. Maybe you can catch something in the ear. If you do catch it, comment on there. That way it's on there and we know I can go back and listen to the video and actually check it out and catch it. So this is a little extra bonus for you guys.
Very good. Very good. All right, guys, I want to say thank you for everybody that come and hang out with us tonight. Sure do appreciate it. I know we say it all the time, but guys, we really do appreciate it. We come on here a couple times a week and really do look forward to it. A lot of time and energy and work goes into it, and you guys make it worth it. And we appreciate everything you do. We know that we don't really have to worry about jerks in the audience so far. Everybody is calm and respectful, and guys, we really do appreciate that. So thank you very much. Guys, take care of each other. Be good to each other, and we will see you next time.
You ready?